the LPL is probably stronger.
Well, we'll have to see if their bottom lane can come out trump here for OMG and RNG. If Uzi and Mata can continue their dominance as probably the best bottom lane in the LPL. RNG were a fantastic team going into MSI with Wushen. A strict upgrade of Uzi coming in here. Wow, this is a pretty crazy pick and ban phase coming out between RNG and OMG already. Thresh, Twisted Fate, Maokai being banned out by RNG, whereas OMG, they've taken away Kindred, Bard, and Nidalee, which means we are going to see Rise played by RNG as it's going to be the first lock-in for the lineup.
Yeah, and at this stage you would have to imagine Xiaohu's going to be the one playing that Rise. Weird target bans, most importantly from the side of RNG. OMG, we want to get rid of MLXG's champions. That makes a lot of sense to me. But with Kindred and Nidalee banned, I question where they're going to go from here because Rek'Sai stands out. MLXG might just default to his Graves that works anyway. They picked both junglers as a ban option, gave over the Rise, and they're not picking jungle for themselves in their first rotation thus far.
This is scary because, if I'm not mistaken, Rise has been 100% banned on the red side. I don't think we've seen him played at all in the LPL so far.
I don't think so. There might have been one in the first day.
And it's been 100% banned since then, if it has been played. And it was just the story of every single match, you know, red side, you just always ban a Rise. Either first ban rotation, second ban rotation, just make sure that blue side can't pick it up as their first pick. And now RNG going to have this powerful champion to work with in the first match. As OMG, they're going to be picking up two powerful picks for themselves, which is going to be Swain and Lucian.
Yeah, so we're going to see OMG's team composition definitely just be strong champions. They might be a team fighting focused team, basically with the Swain there regardless now. Can just soak up a lot of damage. They've got a skirting AD carry in Lucian. But to get through to RNG and put that damage down with what they have so far, you're going to be taking a lot back.
Rek'Sai and Karma are going to be the next two pickups coming in for RNG here. So still picking up some strong champions for themselves. We see a lot of resurgence of Karma being played as they support a couple of times as the mid laners for a couple of the LPL teams.
Yeah, definitely. As far as RNG's draft is concerned, with the three they have at the moment, very strong meta-related champions. Rek'Sai just stands out above the crowd of junglers when Nidalee and Kindred are unavailable. Karma, as well as the support role, is just impeccable. And they also took it away from a Lucian Karma lane, so a little bit less augmentation of a Lucian's strength for OMG. They're going to have to look for something else perhaps in that support role.
Well, let's see what OMG decide to pick up during their next two picks here. If they lock in this Graves, wouldn't it be too surprising, because when we see the Nidalee and Kindred being banned out, that normally means we'll see a Rek'Sai and a Graves face off against one another on the Rift, and that's going to be locked in, as well as a Trundle from the lineup as OMG, and instantly Uzi locks in Caitlyn as his AD carry of choice.
Yeah, Ezreal as well, not being looked for here by Uzi. He has performed well on his Ezreal. It's more of a I want to win, almost akin to that of Clear Love with Evelyn, but he's gone for the Caitlyn, and he's all smiles on camera as well. As there we go.
Vladimir is going to get locked in. We've seen how devastating he can be in the LPL. There's been a couple of games in the EU LCS and the North American LCS where we've seen how devastating this champion can be. And RNG are going to bring it out against OMG today.
You know, the biggest thing to me about seeing a Vladimir is that the LPL is not behind the curve. They're actually with the meta. They haven't actually stuck around. We're on the same patch. We've actually had the opportunity to grow and understand what strong looks like. I will still say, though, with RNG's team composition, we don't know which one's mid or top yet.
Well, let's see where they decide to put that Vladimir and the Rise. But for now, OMG are going to lock in their final pick, which will be the Victor in the mid lane, being played by Cool, a very strong control mage, being picked up by their lineup.
What a meta we've found ourselves in.
Looks like we're going to see Vladimir in the mid lane with Rise up in the top lane.
RNG are running 3 mages with an AD carry and a tank jungle, so they just have damage out the wazoo. Like, that's absurd. OMG as well, they've got a Graves jungle with a Lucian, Victor, Swain. So we have got so many mages with one tank and like just damage. This is so intense.
It almost feels like we're back to Season 1 where we saw mages run into the top lane constantly with that double Will of the Ancients. But for now, we're going to have to see what Luke can pull out with this Rise. Something we didn't really touch on either is the Swain pick from Seong, a very strong meta-heavy champion.
Yeah, Swain very strong, as is the Vladimir if we're looking at what is pretty big in the meta. They actually fill similar purposes as well for a team composition. That's why I kind of like the response pick. It's that you can be in the front line, you can soak up damage, and you can actually be a kill threat for the enemy carries.
Well, let's see what these two teams can do as we load onto the Rift for game number 1.
of us. We come and we go. All of us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have loaded on to Summoner's Rift for the first match between RNG and OMG. All 10 players are up and ready for their first game of tonight.
Yeah, that's right. And as we make our way onto the Rift, we have to kind of take stock of what these team comps are looking to achieve. And we kind of touched on the fact that they're similar, but the real redeeming feature is how similar they are, because the Vladimir Swain, they'll do similar things. Rise and the Victor as well. They got a lot of burst and want to pick people off. And a Caitlyn as well for sieging. That Illusion will be kind of sitting inside. It's actually just like these two teams are going to meet each other probably at the same time, do the exact same thing, and the better team will win.
We're going to take a look at the Keystone Masteries in the meantime, and nothing too surprising standing. I think two interesting spells being picked up would be the Strength of the Ages on the Vladimir and the Storm Raider's Surge on the Rise up in the top lane.
Yeah, so Strength of the Ages Vladimir has been seen a fair bit now. Health, ability, power, just kind of the Vladimir way. And Storm Raider's Surge for Lupa, something that we've seen a couple of Strength of the Ages on. We've seen a bit of Thunderlords here and there. But Storm Raider's Surge just seems to be the consensus for Whitebeard Rise. As Lupa is.
Lupa's actually going to be helping out his jungler down at the bottom lane. So is Siang. So both of these teams going for a blind lane spot. So we'll still have the 2-on-2, but up in the top lane, the Australian lane matchup will come in between RNG and OMG.
That's right. We're going to see standard upside down lanes. The question mark is always going to be on Rise and Swain. This is a very old matchup from like season 2 or 3. Of course, both champions seeing a little bit of touch-ups and slightly changed. The major thing that we have to look at with those two is the only way this lane works is that you hit each other a lot. So one of them will probably die.
Oh, we'll have to take stock of that lane later on in the match as we take a look at into the top lane. Uzi and Mata are trying to poke away SMLZ and 5 here, or deny them from farming this early on to the match. You can see Karma already trying to get some damage down on towards this Trundle. Uzi positioning quite aggressively as well, putting traps down close towards those minions to stop them from advancing too.
Yeah, and you can see why OMG didn't want the lane. Now, Caitlyn Karma is a very oppressive lane to deal with for a melee support and a low-range AD carry that Illusion is. So naturally, RNG finding a slight edge on this one. Whether they were looking for standard or not, what they have found is a favorable start for themselves and gives a lot of time for MLXG to work his magic elsewhere if he so chooses.
We're actually panning down towards the bot lane. MLXG looking to try and get a dive onto Siang here, or get a gank off as Lupa gets a nice snare down to try and stop this. Swain, there goes a Swain flash coming in from MLXG to knock him up, and first blood goes over to the Rex side.
Yeah, Lupa takes a lot of damage, but MLXG with a cheeky early gank gets the kill. And the timing, I must say, very well done from the Rex side. Xiang's only resolution in that situation was try and force summoner spells so that it was somewhat worth it. And now he has to waste his teleport if he wants to get back there quick enough. Let's see how this pans out.
Right off the bat, RNG already got off to a good start, have a small gold lead for themselves, and have already been able to get a good gank off on towards that Swain. Mata now actually going to find Jojo here, and so is MLG. He's actually getting exhausted and snared by that Karma. Here comes Uzi. He should be able to pick up the kill. No, it's going to be Xiao who gets that transfusion off. And RNG, they pick up another kill for themselves.
It's Xiao who actually ghosted to get there quick enough to get the kill. And you know what? You waste the summoner spell, you're damn right you're going to get that kill. Of course, you can see Uzi wanted it to no avail, but RNG rotate once again to the middle of the jungle in that river, and they catch out Juejue. This is such an awkward start for OMG, but once again commanding by the RNG roster.
They're 1,000 gold ahead of OMG 4 minutes into this game. A very nice gold lead for themselves. And, you know, every single lane here just seems to be a little bit oppressive against OMG. Not a single lane has been able to go toe-to-toe at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And it's always a pleasure to watch RNG on Summoner's Rift. There seems to be no situation where it looks like they're faltering. And even when they're behind, they still work themselves out impressively to get it back. Not only is this lane struggling, the Swain Rise matchup, which is meant to be very heavy hitting, has a slight edge towards the Rise. Middle lane's always going to be a diffusal. It's almost cancelled.
Oh, she's still able to get the tunnel out of there. OMG were desperately trying to find a pick for themselves, but not going to happen. You mentioned this middle lane trying to be a diffusal, but I think we've seen this Vlad against Victor matchup before. It doesn't normally look great for the Victor.
It almost feels like there's a direct correlation between Victor being played and Vladimir being played, and it's not that one's to counterpick the other either. I think Victor's just a safe enough laner with his shield that usually, oh no, it's great. But look at the health that Xiaohu gets back from this, and the damage that he does to Cool. Every single time that his resource bar, which we're calling a blood bank at this stage, is available. I know it's Crimson Rush, but we're sticking with blood bank fish.
Okay.
He does ridiculous amounts of damage and has too much sustain. So Victor can't actually keep up in certain cooldown windows.
It's not going to help Cool either the fact that Xiaohu was able to pick up double buff at the start of this match. He's hit level 6 as well on this Vladimir, so his ultimate is up and available as he moved back towards the top lane. Uzi and Mata still continuing to be very dominant up here, and it's just, you can see why OMG wanted to go for this lane swap. And RNG just matching it quite nicely, able to get the lanes they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. RNG quite content with the lanes that they have. The Rise even finding a slight CS edge, and I did want to question Xiang's item build. He waited for a second Doran's Ring to get a bit of extra laning power, but up against the Rise, not having potions, kind of made a mistake. And if you're going to teleport to that lane with no potions and no sustain, you are going to start falling behind if you're not cautious.
Well, let's take a look at the items that have been picked up so far. The Rise has picked up the Tear and the Catalyst. It's disgusting up in this lane. Rise picked up Tear and a Catalyst before getting back to his lane. Swain only able to pick up those two Doran's rings, sorry.
He'll get more now. Should have a Catalyst.
Was SMLZ and 5 actually forced out of this lane? They're going to go back to base and pick up a couple of items for themselves. Xiaohu already has the Kindle Gem and a Negatron Cloak, so some big item pickups for the Vlad, and there is that Catalyst you were talking about for the Swain.
And we're going to actually swap lanes now. Xiang's actually recognized the fact that the bottom lane's not having a great time. He's not having a great time. Nobody is enjoying themselves on Summoner's Rift for the team of OMG, and so they have to change it up. And the strategy now is to put that Swain top, readjust their lanes, and if RNG match this, the funny thing is they still have to start again on hitting these turrets, because it's going to start at full.
For now, though, we're going to take a look at the mid lane. Xiaohu still being very oppressive against Cool there. You can see the Tides of Blood slowing them down, but Looper actually going to get ganked by 5 and Jojo here. The Rise going to have to put on some work to get out of this gank. Pops the hurt down on towards his grave, tries to take some down. It's not going to work out as OMG put themselves back on the board.
The exhaust from 5 and the heal from SMLZ is enough to keep Jojo happy, but he also missed a lot of spells here, Looper. And that could have actually been the difference between a kill or not. Still, doesn't use his flash. I think it's going to be available in about 2 seconds, so he didn't have it, and well timed, honestly, from OMG.
Able to alleviate some of the pressure coming out from that Rise. We have to see if any swaps come out from the side of RNG, and yes, there will be, as Caitlyn and Karma actually head down towards the bottom lane to match the swap that came out from OMG, and now going to send Looper up towards the top lane to go up against the Swain one more time. Yeah,
but as we mentioned, you can see that the health of that turret, which means that RNG, whilst they're still going to win this lane, they're still having a fantastic time. Like, that's almost too fantastic.
SMLZ actually taking a lot of damage. Uzi, he's being caught out. Piercing Light comes down. SMLZ actually able to pick up the kill and use the Relentless Pursuit to get out of there. OMG trap him in between the turret and a hard place.
It was a good pillar, but it was not a good flash from Uzi. Flash and heal used, flashes into the pillar. He was inevitably going to die. Well done from SMLZ to catch him out, though, and work his way back in to put his burst on top of him. That's now a 2-0 Lucian from something that should never have been.
OMG, they're still behind RNG at this point of the game, but able to find a way to get back into this one, especially in the bottom lane. In fact, the Lucian is now ahead of the Caitlyn in terms of CS, so what was an oppressive lane being dominated by Uzi has now kind of evened out in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and on the back of mechanical mistakes from the AD carry of RNG, who has managed to find himself 2 MVP performances. He's doing the exact opposite right now for his team.
We're going to take a look at the mid lane one more time here. Xiaohu up against Cool. Cool's gone back to base, upgraded his Hex Core, picked up a Pink Ward and a couple of potions for himself, but he's still having a little bit of troubles against his Vladimir. He's about 10 CS behind at the moment.
Everything kind of settled down, and that's the important thing. There are 1,000 gold ahead at 4 minutes in the game, and this could well have been.
Oh, they're going to see a fight in the mid lane. It's Cool. Actually popped his ultimate on top of Xiaohu, takes a lot of damage, has to flash out. The Ignite was ticking onto the Vladimir. Cool standing his ground against Vladimir.
Yeah, very well done from Cool. Unfortunately, Xiaohu Never mind, we're just going to watch MLXG dumpster JJ.
Puts a lot of damage down on towards this grave. Cool's going to come in here, try and get something done, but LNG, he's not scared. He's going to go for the 2-on-1 here. Tunnels forward. It's going to get locked down by the gravity field. Does force a flash coming out from the graves.
Yeah, so he does get the summoner spell burnt, and MLXG just kind of showing off his strength. Tank item against damage as Marta's here.
He's going to flash in aggressively with a tether. MLXG will flash in as well. They pick up a kill onto Cool. Clinical coming from RNG.
And Marta with his signature roam. MLXG always going to be there to back him up. And with the knowledge of Zhuezhui being low with no flash to his name, he wasn't going to get any support. Cool goes down. And Xiaohu suddenly a lot happier in this middle lane because no one's there to hold him.
You know, RNG were able to alleviate some of the pressure down in the bottom lane, but it doesn't matter too much because Uzi, he's happy to farm this underneath his turret alone, up against the Lucian and a Trundle, and still 1,000 gold for RNG at the moment. They're pretty comfortable in this laning phase, you could say.
Yeah, and you have to remember, they're going to be scaling. Absolutely. It's a Vladimir and a Ryze in the same team composition. And any Ryze in any team composition signals late game strength. That's one thing that's always happened.
And you have to think, you know, we have Marta and Uzi on this lineup with MLXG. RNG, they're always going to be a team that have that late game strength. They're not afraid to take OMG to 35 minutes if they must.
RNG is a team. RNG is a team composition. Pretty much all the makings in this with an early game lead to carry themselves and to bridge that gap for a Caitlyn. Perhaps get him to that 2-item stage a little bit more comfortably.
But on the flip side, OMG also content with scaling up a little bit. They do have a Swain, a Graves, a Victor, and a Lucian, so late game is not that bad for the OMG lineup.
No, it's not too bad, but once again, I think the biggest question mark is going to be range of their carries. That's something that we do see often, however, is Graves and Lucian in the same comp. If it's not the Graves, it's usually the Kindred.
And you know, SMLZ actually is going to get ultimate here by coming out from the Caitlyn. Lots of damage being put down on towards the Trundle. Summoner heal being used by SMLZ to keep his support safe, but OMG
teleports in. They're 4 men diving this bottom lane.
I'm going to get dived on here, so teleport's going to come in return from the Swain, try and stop this dive. 5 MSLZ do get knocked up by the Rek'Sai. Lupus here as well, puts a lot of damage down. MLXG trying to return as much hurt as he can towards the jungle, but he is taking a lot of damage in return. Uzi and Lupa looking to try and lock him down, but a flash does come out from the Swain. He's going to be able to get away.
The Vladimir and the Victor are also fighting each other on the side of this, so everything settles down as we get close-ups of faces and reactions. Cools in, has his ult.
Here comes the Chaos Storm, puts a lot of damage down on towards Uzi. Do see JJ
God.
trying to get some damage down on towards the Caitlyn. Uzi has to use his Summoner heal to get out of there, lives with sub-100 health.
That was far too close. We are going to see this dive again, though. Remember, the 4-man of RNG. And this game, so far, has just been MLXG and friends. The amount of damage and work that he's doing. Double knockup, most importantly, onto SMLZ and 5. Lupa, whilst exhausted, still has enough to take them out. And if Xiang's focus is going to be Marta, then RNG are going to be happy.
Still a 2-for-1 trade in favor of OMG there. They even got the flash onto Lupa up in the top lane. Onto Xiang, sorry, on the top lane. We can take a look at the items that have been picked up since then as well. Xiang went back to base, got a Rod of Ages for himself. That's a lot of damage there coming out from the Victor and the Swain.
I told you when I said it's the MLXG show, I meant it. Sure, there's a lot of damage coming out of them. 0 from the Lucian is the standout feature.
Did nothing in that fight, was actually crowd controlled by MSG quite nicely.
But the 1,000 damage out of a tank Rek'Sai who is ahead means that he's going to stay ahead and he's going to continue to do damage. The major difference right now between these teams is a lot of magic damage being the primary source out of OMG. I think you'll find that he can stack magic resistance and teamfight happily.
No, actually, very confident player from the lineup of RNG, very consistent as well in his playstyle. And one of the backbones for his team. He's been playing phenomenally the later part of the spring split. Great at MSI as well, now looking great in summer split. So Pillars come out in the bottom lane, trying to separate Uzi. Not going to happen there.
Yeah, and even the Tiamat, I was going to say, out of MLXG being rushed before a Sightstone. He's going to have a Titanic Hydra pretty quick. The amount of damage that he's doing is a sign of recognition. He knows that he is a carry for the team at the moment. That's exactly what RNG and OMG are constructing with their compositions. Everyone does damage, everyone does their buttons at the same time, and people just explode on the Rift.
Well, we can take a look at all those other items at the moment as we have the Rod of Ages and Tier for Loop up in the top lane against the Rod of Ages of Swain. On the flip side of jungle, Warrior and Charmer being picked up by Dredger already. Hexcore being upgraded by Core one more time. Here we see a lot of the LPL mid laners for Victor do that quite frequently. Protobell has been picked up by Xiaohu already. And the bottom lane, Eddie carries. We can see the traditional Caitlyn build being picked up by Lucian. He's going for the Yoma's Ghostblade Black Cleaver build.
Yeah, he's going for that early game power build, and it makes a lot of sense because he's going to need it. I will say, how many Vladimirs have we actually seen going for Proto Belt that aren't in the LPL? Because I don't think many of them that aren't in the LPL go for it.
If I'm not mistaken, we saw a couple from the EU LCS, but I was at the 3rd or 4th item. Not a straight up rush that we see all the Vladimirs in the LPL do. As the Cloud Dragon will fall for RNG here, the next dragon to spawn will be that Ocean Dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second dragon will be far more important than the first, but at 15 minutes for the first one to fall, there won't be a lot of Drakes this game, to say the least, as everything is continuing to slow down and settle. We're going to have advantages forge organically almost through control of the map.
But RNG already forged a nice advantage for themselves. They're 3,000 gold ahead. A flash actually coming in here for Xiaohu. Straight on top of Cool. Puts down the pool as well. Emma, she will get it with the Praise Seeker, but that was aggressive.
And that's why you have a Proto Belt, because Xiaohu, with no offensive summoners, can make everything that he has offensive anyway. So much burst comes out of him whenever that Blood Bank is ready. And when he actually rushes forward at them. Oh my god.
That was just disgusting coming in from Xiaohu.
I think we've said that every time we've seen a Vladimir.
Pretty much. He's just too good.
Bloody hell. That's what it is.
Literally.
These are nightmares. They're still struggling in this 2v2.
Did look like SMLZ had a little bit of a reprieve
Yes,
when he got the 2 kills.
Again, MLXG is.
He's looking for something, trying to help out his bottom lane one more time here. But there should be another tower falling in favor of RNG if they can continue this push. We're already able to take down the mid lane outer turret. Xiang and Jojo, though, looking to try and get a gank on towards Looper. Nevermove should be able to come out shortly onto the rise. There it is. Flash over from it, but actually a pretty good flash to get over the entire distance
Cool's
of
coming,
that spell.
though. Needs to be a little bit careful.
There's the gravity field, zoning him out. Looper got nowhere to run now. No flash either. Tries to go toe-to-toe with Jojo, but not going to happen, and Xiang will pick up that kill.
Looper once again puts down a lot of damage, but the flash was actually wasted because best case scenario, he dodged the never move and then flashed over a wall somewhere to safety. There was no mid laner available for RNG, so Cool can just rotate and get the pick. Small error, but it was an individual mistake that he was not aware of Cool being there. He was too busy trying to live.
Still, with the outer turrets being picked up in the mid lane and the bottom lane for RNG, they're 5,000 gold ahead of OMG. 17 minutes, 30 seconds into this game. Looking like a really strong side at the moment, and OMG continuing to struggle at the moment.
Yeah, the name of the game is try and keep up in farm. If this is going to happen, and we're going to have Xiaohu 1v2, let's just see how it goes, honestly.
He's probably just going to try and turn around, does have that Crimson Rush available. Once the culling ends, though, just decides to back away. Allows the Trundle and Lucian to continue pushing in the bottom lane.
Yeah, there's actually 4 of them down there from OMG, and you'd say that's one too many for a Vladimir to deal with.
You'd think that.
So he has to back away. Of course, RNG still ready for the trade, always being reasonably reactive, if not proactive, in their movements.
And take down another outer turret up in the top lane, opening up the map completely for RNG at the moment. We should see them start to move in towards OMG's jungle and start to take control of that as well. And was she very fond and known for doing that once RNG opened up the map for him.
Yeah, and still RNG trying to overpush in comparison to that of OMG. It's the little details right now that are giving them bigger advantages as we move further into the middle stages of this game. The question when we'll start to see these team fights happen, and you would imagine mostly around the middle laners, with Xiaohu and Cool not having teleports. Looper and Xiang. Once they actually find themselves in side lanes, we'll start to see contesting for buffs and neutrals actually come out.
They're already trying to do just that. Smite did come out there. Looked like it did go over to Jojo. Picks up the red buff for himself. She wanted to contest for that red buff, but only had Uzi backing him up inside of the jungle.
Yeah, I think the major difference now is also going to be that the middle turret has fallen. There's a lot more control available to the side of RNG. Once this next dragon is available, you would also think that they will look towards that, and it's going to be a difficult task for OMG to contest.
They still do have the wave clear of the likes of the Victor, the culling if they need it, Graves if they need it as well, and Swain helping them out. So they could definitely hold on here, but question is for how long, because Baron's coming up, Dragon's up shortly as well, and Cool, he's been caught scouting the map there, was actually using his sword to try and ward somewhere. Takes a lot of damage. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, we do see Xiaohu going toe-to-toe
Oh my
with Lucian.
God.
That's a lot of healing coming up from the Vladimir. The pool does come out as well. Uzi, though, SMLZ will be able to pick up a return kill. Looper is trying to do something, but is not able to get anything off. As RNG, the remaining members have come up towards this lane. Prayseeker comes out, tags SMLZ. Is not enough to take him down, though.
They don't get the kill, but Looper also finding Xiang and 2 teleports burned means that the next fight could be quite delicate. Xiaohu bites off more than he can chew. He absolutely wanted the 1v1 against SMLZ, and it was essentially a 1v1 that the Lucian got.
SMLZ not able to come out big in that engagement, was waiting for that Crisman rush to try and get a lot more health back in that fight.
And he got it, that's the thing. Like, he still had a good combo. And for what it's worth, the Lucian just seems to be stronger at a 2-item mark. It's the Black Cleaver Ghostblade build after all. And once he gets, I'm assuming, a Hex Drinker as his next option, SMLZ is going to be even harder to take down.
On the flip side, you can see Xiao who's picked up that Proto Belt earlier, now looking for bits and pieces of his Abyssal Scepter and the Zhonya's Hourglass for this Vladimir, so doesn't have one of those items completed just yet.
And holding a Variety Bucket at the moment.
Uzi, in the meantime, does have the Rudan's Hurricane picked up, looking for an Infinity Edge as the next item on Caitlyn.
The other big one is also Morello. Nomicon on Cool.
That's been picked up, going to try and reduce the healing that will be coming out from the Karma, the Vlad, and even Uzi and the likes of
And
Lupa.
Rise, yeah, like all of them. That's actually just a very valuable item purchase, and even the Lucian, once he gets towards his Last Whisper upgrade and reduces healing once again, the probability of everybody having reduced healing is then increased.
Could definitely actually see the pickup from Jercher as well. We've seen a lot of Graves go for the Mortar Reminder. As the second dragon of the game does fall for RNG, they pick up an Ocean Dragon. Uncontested from OMG one more time here. The next dragon to spawn will be that Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, and we mentioned how hard it actually is to get into that area and look for the Dragon Pit. So they don't get what they're looking for on the side of OMG, and that is to stop the Drake from falling. They don't even get the top lane turret where a bit more of their resources were looking towards. And once again, free objective and nothing gained on the flip side as the gold lead stretches further.
They're about 5,000 gold here ahead of OMG. 6-5 in terms of the kills on this map so far. 2 dragons to none and 3 towers to 1. RNG very decisive in this early game against OMG.
Yeah, it's the 2 towers and the 2 drakes in advantage that separate them, as well as farm values starting to work their way up. Major differences being the jungle, I would have to imagine.
Every lane's actually ahead by a small amount of CS here. You can see about 10 in the mid lane, about 15 in mid lane, sorry. Top lane about 20 at the moment. Jungle is about 30. Bottom lane even about 10 in favor of Uzi. So RNG just winning in all aspects of this game right now.
And that's what we said before the game even started in terms of draft, team composition, how they actually want to play the game and win the game. Very similar team compositions and execution requirements for OMG and RNG alike. And at the end of the day, the better team will actually just come out ahead.
It's difficult to say that because, you know, they both want to do the same things, just RNG do it better right now. I've definitely picked better for it as well.
I think the major difference being MLXG is a tank jungler, so he's able to enable for his team further. Zhuezhui being a carry-oriented Graves, building damage. Not ideal.
Mata actually takes a lot of damage as he tries to lock down Jojo. But Cool is there to help out the jungler. Actually, he is so tanky right now. 3,200 health on this Rex side with the Titanic Hydra, the Spectre's Cowl, and also the Cinderhawk being picked up.
The blue.
I want to try and take it down. MLXG not going to be able to smite it away.
Yeah, MLXG
Oh,
got
she
it.
does. Is able to smite that one.
Yeah, the Rek'Sai picks up the buff, takes it from Cool / everybody on the side of OMG. One big question mark I have to raise is the lack of Spirit Visage for Xiang. Went for a Zhonya's Hourglass, which is definitely warranted, but magic resistance arguably more valuable right now.
And RG immediately going to try and fight over this red buff. Jojo is the one that's able to smite it away. Now looking for Xiao, who pops the Proto Belt to try and close some of the distance, but this Grave being a little bit relentless at the moment. Actually goes for an auto attack onto a ward instead of opting to hit Vladimir with that.
Probably a click to push. It's just one of those things that you do. There was no real chance of killing the Vladimir, especially with a pool and a Proto Belt. Bit of distance closing. Ghost and Flash if it came down to it as summoner spells. The red buff was nice to get as well, though. He's going to have a bit of extra sustain, health regeneration, and the slow, which almost got him towards a Vlad. Almost is never enough.
We see major item pickups coming out throughout the map here. Lupe, he's picked up the Saris Embrace there, so he can have an extra shield for himself, as well as a lot of mana to buff up his abilities and also spam them during these team fights. Sony's Hourglass has been picked up by Xiaohu as well. He's still sitting on the Negatron Cloak for his Abyssal Scepter, which should be his third item pickup, giving himself 30% cooldown reduction.
Yeah. Slowly and assuredly, though, RNG are pushing themselves towards a breaking point where they will be able to fight for anything, and the keyword is they'll actually fight for it. They won't just take it. To remember that the Drake will be up reasonably soon. Baron's going to be a presence now that we're 25 minutes into this game. And so whenever they decide to set up for or pull the trigger for those objectives, you'll find that RNG potentially in the driver's seat in that respect, and RNG have to respond effectively. SMLZ really wants those wards instead of 5.
Well, let's see if SMLZ and the rest of his squad can do that, because RNG still have a commanding 5,000 gold advantage for them this early into the game. It's going to be difficult for them, for OMG, to try and fight their way back into this one. Dragon is going to be spawning in a minute 30. It is the Infernal Dragon, so something RNG would definitely like to pick up for themselves, give themselves extra 6% ability power and attack damage.
Yeah, it's an important Drake to fight for both of these teams. Both being very capable of team fighting and being damage-centric rosters. Oh, that one true damage. Get him.
Makes the purple worm angry.
Someone put a pillar inside my area.
Inside your house?
Yeah, I'd be a bit pissed off too.
Yeah, don't see why not.
Outdoor decorations are fine, you know. Just don't put it inside my house. If I was Baron, I'd be angry.
For now, though, everyone just farming up, waiting for that dragon to spawn. To see Xiang is trying to push out the bottom lane. Looper going to be able to pick up his own blue buff in his jungle, so has a nice buff for himself as we head towards this next dragon spawn, which will be in 45 seconds. Uzi just went to back to base, and picked up a Zeal for himself, and also an Executioner's Calling as his next item pickup.
Yeah, reduction of healing for the Swain's going to be invaluable. Potentially the Trundle also in the Graves to an extent. So quite a good purchase. Having the Zeal beforehand, a little bit of extra crit to complement his item build as well will be very handy for the Caitlyn. And that means that the gap has been bridged for RNG and their 80 carry strength. Uzi is 100% relevant as we move further into this game.
On the flip side, we can see Lucian going for the bits and pieces build here. Has the Black Cleaver Yoma's Ghost Blade also probably going to look for more of Malmortius as his next item pickup.
Needs that to prevent a lot of the magic damage and burst that'll come out of RNG. Vladimir's combo with Ryze. Even Marta's combo with Vladimir at this stage on the Karma. Just a bought mission.
It's pretty sure RNG were going to try and take that one down instead. Now this dragon might
give
be
it to
fall
OMG.
for OMG. That goes over towards Jetro. Does get the stun, but he's going to be locked down by the Ryze. Xiang now caught between everybody. Uzi going to put the Grievous Runes down on towards the Swain. Has to pop Zony's Hourglass. Going to try and heal as much as possible, but still will get taken out by Uzi. OMG have to run for the hills here. They do get the dragon though, and I think they're pretty content with that trade.
And 5 almost goes down to the Caitlyn's ultimate, but not enough. RNG were really close to just outright getting that entire team fight. They'll be happy with the picks because they can look towards the Baron. They still need to show some respect to OMG, however, that are going to be there in time. We'll see how this one breaks out. For a Ryze and a Vladimir, they still take it quite quickly.
OMG, they don't have any mountain dragons here, but still taking this Baron down to below half health before OMG even able to get towards this pit. Ultimate being popped by Ryze here, trying to put as much damage down towards this Baron buff. They should be able to take it down. Smite does come out from MLXG, and RNG, they secure the bigger objective for themselves by taking down Baron.
Yeah, securing the epic monster for themselves. And as far as trades are concerned, you'd be quite happy with RNG's outcome. They will lose a turret for their trouble, so OMG are getting absolutely everything they can out of negative situations. RNG still in the driver's seat. And the closest thing in that last team fight at the Dragon was actually Xiaohu's proto belt. He tried to use to get over the wall and missed it. And if he had that, or if he used it successfully, everything could have changed.
And like she actually going to get caught out. The pillar going to
that's a bit awkward.
Catch him in the wall there. He's going to get stuck by another move too. The pillar is just going to be put inside of Baron's home. It locks down the Rex side, denies him from leaving that pit.
And that was like the pixel perfect pillar. I don't think you'll ever see something like that again. Unbelievable. MLXG be a little bit sour given how that turned out.
I don't think he can believe it either.
He was also overreaching for a red buff in general. The fact he had to flash over the Baron pit was a statement of how that was actually progressing for him. Not sure why he went that deep.
Meanwhile, RNG continuing the push here, looking to try and take down the bot lane in the turret as well. Xiang doing what he can as Swain to clear out these minions before they get too much damage down on towards these turrets.
The Swain's not too tanky at the moment, though, to be fair. He does have his Zonias working towards the MR, but Caitlyn, if he hits, definitely puts some pain onto his face.
Especially with the Grievous Wounds pickup coming in from Uzi early, going to deny a lot of the healing coming onto the Swain.
Yeah, also Rapid Fire Cannon is the notable. He's going to be doing it at a higher range, so he's going to be a little bit safer here, Uzi.
He's got 70% crit chance as well, so the Caitlyn well and truly online, getting lots of headshots off with the Hurricane pickup. Also just critting a lot more in general.
Just crits everywhere.
Meanwhile, you can see the Vladimir, he's picked up the Void Staff for himself, opting not to pick up the Abyssal Scepter just yet.
No, it makes sense. The Void Scepter is actually being picked up by both magic damage dealers, so that they can be as efficient as possible in their team fighting, which will definitely be breaking out now they've got a Baron. You would assume, if OMG wants it.
Well, RNG are going to be able to take down the bottom lane inner turret, as well as work towards the mid lane inner turret. They should be able to siege this down. They do have a Caitlyn putting traps down everywhere to stop OMG from getting any good positioning to try and clear these waves.
Yeah, the old zigzag approach, and even one on the far side of the turret. Those are probably the most efficient trap placements. There should be no way that this turret is contested. Very easy pickup.
RNG being very clinical in this game so far. They're 8,000 gold ahead of OMG at the moment, and they're just taking down turret after turret, working their way towards the inhibitors of OMG and just taking things very slow and very steady right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Kind of working around cooldowns. Thinking of Ryze and Vladimir as champions as well. They are quite spell uptime reliant. Vlad doesn't do a whole lot of damage unless he's got the Crimson Rush actually stacked on his passive. Obviously, I'm talking about the red bar he has below his health.
The Vladimir resource bar.
The blood bank.
But now, though, he's just going to be able to pick up a red buff for himself from his jungle. You know, augmenting his auto attacks a little bit more. Actually giving the blue buff over towards Xiao, who doesn't have the extra 30% cooldown reduction, so it definitely will help him out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool guys don't look at explosions either. Pops the Tides of Blood to pick it up for himself.
Wouldn't say Vladimir has explosions.
You don't count?
Plagues.
Okay. I'll show myself out. I'll go there.
He doesn't have explosions, man. It's blood.
Lupa, in the meantime, up in the top lane. He's got a Guardian Angel for himself, so not opting for the Abyssal Scepter pick up. Instead, just wants to resurrect himself one more time if a team fight breaks out.
That's exactly what RNG do as a team right now, though. They've got a mixture of damage with tankiness. Ryze might be a damage dealer, but you're going to have a rough time killing him at the moment. Vlad's always going to be in a similar position, and Marta's able to keep everybody else alive and happy as well. Right now, you're just waiting for the trigger to be pulled realistically. There's no Baron. There is going to be a Drake in 50 seconds, and they've got their teleport on the right side of the map here with Lupa. As long as they've recalled, they've got their item spikes, everybody's happy to go. We'll see if OMG can actually look towards this one, or if they just continue to concede.
Oh, she does get caught out slightly there, but we can take a look at OMG's items really quickly to see what they can use in these fights. Xiao already picked up the Spirit Visage, so going to be able to heal a little bit more on his Swain. Whereas we see Jojo in the jungle on the Graves as well. Got a couple of tanky aggressive items. The Sterix Gauge coming out as well as the Maw of Malmortia. So fully upgraded Hex Core is on the Victor right now, as well as that Abyssal Scepter for extra cooldown damage, cooldown reduction, and extra magic penetration as well. Whereas we now finally see Lucian picking up a little bit of crit for himself.
Yeah, it's starting to hit a point though where you'd say he's outscaled just from crit alone. RNG in the driver's seat.
Certainly are. They're looking to try and take down their own Infernal Dragon, which will be the last Elemental Dragon to spawn in this game. They take it down without any contention coming out from OMG.
Yep, next one's going to be Elder. Baron as well in a minute 30, so RNG can kind of work from one to the other, reset that vision control, and maybe look towards sieging once again. You would expect that Lupa will then swap his positioning to the bottom side of the map. The question is how soon they want to recall towards the Baron actually spawning, or if they want to do something that isn't the Baron, because they can look towards these side lanes where the vision has already been established.
And RNG really taking their time right now. You can already see Uzi. He's got 5 items picked up, as well as that Executioner's Calling just to deal with Swain. Lock of the Iron Solari being picked up by the Karma here. Vladimir is going for a nearly large rod first, just sticking for that Negatron Cloak for now. It's a very, very big lineup from RNG, looking to try and steamroll towards OMG's base when they pull that trigger.
Yeah, funnily enough, I think that the Negatron Cloak will be enough magic resistance for the Vladimir. He'll actually just be fine with what he has now. And yeah, that could be upgraded at any time towards an Abyssal if it comes down to it. Even a GA if you really wanted. But what Vladimir should be getting is probably a Death Cap to complement the fact that he has a Void Staff already. And he's doing a lot of damage, but he's also impossible to kill as it stands. And so he can afford to get that damage. Uzi needs to just stop critting for 1700 because it just makes me feel bad.
That's not going to happen, Rusty. He's going to keep doing that with 70% crit chance. Xiang now actually getting caught out by Looper here. Does some damage on this Rise. Swain trying to heal up whatever he can. Looper still chasing him down. Doesn't have the snares. They're going to lock down by the root. Meanwhile, though, Xiaohu's been able to take down 5 here. Culling is going to get popped by SMLZ, trying to return a kill for himself. And that's both Summoner spells burnt on towards the Vladimir. They still get a pick.
Yeah, Vlad does use 2 of his own, but most importantly, the kills there. Baron is up as well, so Looper and Xiang fighting each other means that they can't teleport in, or that Xiang can't teleport in. So with the numbers advantage, here it goes.
And there's Looper channeling his teleport early, trying to get towards the Baron pit as fast as possible.
You don't want to be outside the pit.
Oh, he is for now. Did take the tunnel out of there. Might have to flash over the wall. He does do just that. We'll be able to smite the Baron away, though. The teleport does come out from Xiang, but gets cancelled immediately.
Yeah, well, definitely cancelled is the important factor, as we are going to see how 5 fell down. I think it's safe to say we know how. Pretty unreasonable damage, to say the least, from the Vladimir, with a complimentary Caitlyn ultimate to boot. Hits the mark.
OMG still very much in the driver's seat here. 10,000 gold ahead of OMG. With that Baron buff, it's going to be really difficult for OMG to contest them in any way right now.
Yeah, absolutely. OMG are just struggling. They have been since minute 1, when they actually got onto the Rift here in their first game of this best of 3. This is just a sign of what OMG have been like this entire split so far. SMLZ doing work. The rest of the team really just aren't. 0-2-1, cool. As a shot-calling member of the team, an experienced member of the roster, being involved in 1 of the 6 kills, really poor performance.
Definitely not going to be great as Treasure is going to get caught out there by Xiaohu. Pillar comes out from Toronto to save him, though.
I think Cole might be in an awkward position here.
Ultimate does come out from Caitlyn.
A lot of damage.
Chunks him down. Caitlyn now actually has all 6 items completed. Mortal Reminder has been picked up by Uzi.
These 2.
Just running at Xiang, not afraid of this Swain at all right now.
No reason to be afraid of him whatsoever. Swain is ignorable when it's not a team fight. As these 2.
Xiaohu is going to fight with SMLZ one more time here. As another time where SMLZ comes out strong, but RNG, they're inside of the base of OMG, already able to take down the turrets. Uzi trying to put down whatever damage he can towards these inhibitors. The rest of OMG actually backing off. MLSG tries to go and find the knock-up, not quite able to get it. A flash comes out from Mata to get away as the Never Move does come out, but that's a Zonya stasis coming out from the Swain. Has to flash out. Uzi dealing so much damage. Here comes the Lucian. SMLZ tried to find something, but has to get out of there. He will get taken down by the Rise, and suddenly RNG's Looper, he's fired 3 kills for himself, and then looking towards the Nexus.
And RNG's team composition, we called it similar to OMG, but when it's ahead, all 5 members are doing damage. This should be the game, as Looper's having a laugh with the remaining members of the team. He's very impressive.
Skirting in and out beside the fountain, trying to take down the Nexus at the same time. Graves will live to tell the tale, but RNG, they're able to pick up game 1 against OMG.
Yeah, and a very convincing game 1 at that, I think it's safe to say, from RNG. At 4 minutes in the game, they were 1,000 gold up. They had 5 carries on their team. And the biggest thing to me is always going to be MLXG, because yes, Looper did his job when it came to late game. Xiaohu was just an annoyance that was fighting against a Lucian in a side lane. That was unusual. Like, Uzi did his job in team fights, Mata did his job. MLXG was just a god. It's plain and simple.
He certainly was on that Rex side. You know, he made a couple of weird decisions, like flashing out of the Baron pit to get back into it later to smite it off. This was where it started to look good for OMG when they got this kill onto Uzi, trapping him and forcing him to blow his summoner spells. And on top of that, SMLZ was constantly getting these one-on-ones against the Vladimir and was winning 100% of the time.
Yeah, Vladimir, not exactly the strongest champion. Absolutely, I'm joking. He's the strongest champion right now. But Lucian also up there as a top tier AD carry. And when it came down to these mechanical battles, SMLZ still showed up to play. It's just that the rest of RNG were definitely there as a 4-man roster. Looper puts in overtime and gets 3 kills. But Uzi's kiting as well in this last fight with no health the entire time. Just does so much damage. And all of the emphasis is to kill Uzi. That's just how you play against Uzi in general, is it not? You just make sure that he goes down because he's the hyper carry of the team. You can't sleep on Looper when he's playing Ryze.
You know what, a big thing for me in that match was the fact that RNG, they just looked so clinical in that game. But for now, we're going to go to a quick break before we head back with game number 2 between RNG and OMG. Don't go anywhere.